here we go. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Real Estate Backstory, talking about the soft underbelly of the real estate world and kind of what's going on, that kind of thing. So we really hope that they had a really nice Memorial Day. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker at Maximum One.
And I'm Ming Richardson. I am the compliance broker for Maximum One Realtor and Realty Partners.
She's also my lovely bride. And so yeah, you should all be so lucky. So, anyway, we're going to jump right in here, and I wanted to kind of start off a little bit with to make sure that we have a bit of a civics lesson, because I saw some real estate agents out, and I know this is the day after Memorial Day, but out, wishing veterans a happy Memorial Day, and that's not what Memorial Day is. And so I'm not trying to get on here, but like I have a great uncle that passed away during World War II, for example. He died in one of the battles in the Pacific, kind of thing. And so that's what this is for. With Memorial Day, we are honoring militaries, our service members, kind of thing, that have lost their lives, in service to our country, kind of thing. Right now, there's about almost 1,200,000 military men and women that have lost their life in service to the country. And so that's really what Memorial Day is. It is not National Hot Dog and Hamburger Eating Day. It is not, hey, a shout out to the vets. And while I really do appreciate our veterans, we have family members that serve in the military, and we love and honor them as well. But Memorial Day is to remember those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we enjoy. Absolutely. So make sure when you are posting that, because you can offend a veteran when you wish them a happy Memorial Day, because they're remembering all their friends that may have passed away from this. So just make sure that we've got our act together on as far as that goes. And I want to make sure that we're all in the know on that, because it's not the same as Veterans Day, that kind of thing. So,
absolutely. So,
all right. We kind of want to jump in a little bit into some of the news this week. And so one thing that came out is that there was a new study and found out that on average, closings right now, homes are taking on average 15 days longer to sell, almost 25% longer than a year ago. And now, and luckily we brought a guest with us today, and so we're going to be talking to Bill Miller in a second. And so we're seeing that during this time of year, or not this time of year, but during COVID, our sellers need some additional patience, and we've got to make sure that we are looking at really what can we do to make these things ready. But the biggest thing is to really communicate with our sellers. So we're having issues on inspections, we're having issues on appraisals, not big issues, but some things are just taking a little bit longer. And then the other one, of course, and the gentleman that we're going to jump into today is Bill Miller. Bill Miller has joined us today. He's with Burgess Title and Escrow, and we really appreciate him. A lot of our agents trust and adore Bill and his staff, and so he's going to be joining us today between Two Ferns, and we're going to be kind of grilling him a little bit about what he's seeing in the closing process, and how much of this, I'm not blaming it on the attorneys and that kind of thing, but they have their own set of challenges and what's going on. So Bill, I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And kind of what are you seeing as far as, issues and timing in the closing process right now?
Right. Absolutely. First of all, thanks for letting me be a part of this morning. From initially, we were running into issues at the courthouse with closures of the record room and a delay in getting titles run. There was Clayton County for a while was closed and not accepting recording, and so lenders, were a little. It was a little tricky to work around some of those issues, right. To say the least. But in the last couple of weeks, I don't know of any metro county that that is not operational. They're all recording. Some of them are doing a better job than others, and some of them are more up to date than others. But from a title examination standpoint, we no longer have any issues from that area in the metro counties. So that's a good thing. That's gotten better than it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so, other than the recording issue, we still have, from a closing standpoint, it's a little longer process because we separate everyone in the office from buyers and sellers and try to just keep the parties that are part of the transaction in the closing room. But from
Which
a
is
delay,
not always bad. It's nice.
No,
it's always have buyers and sellers in the same room sometimes.
It is not always bad. From our standpoint, it's a little more focused and getting the document signed and a lot of times the exchanging of keys and possession and all that other good stuff will come in the lobby or just after closing and so that's fine. It has been it's worked out very well, all things considered. But from a delay and as an agent trying to get your contract submitted to us and title run and closed and a check and a commission check issued, the title examination is no longer going to slow that down. And so that's been a good thing and has been very nice. So.
Good, because all the agents, they all want to know how soon can you close, that kind of thing.
Right.
Or, I mean, what kind of time frames are we back into normal time frames, or like how soon could you close? Right.
So cash sale.
Let's throw you right on the spot, Bill. There you go.
Well, no, but I mean, we get a contract today, and we could close Friday because we could get title pulled that quick. You have HOA issues, you have other things, payoffs that might be delayed. One issue, and it brings a good point, that we are having trouble from a payoff standpoint is tax payoffs with the IRS, federal tax liens. There's been, and it's across the board. I'm on an email thread with a bunch of other closing attorneys. Everyone's running into the same problem. And as an agent, your seller's not always going to run into that issue where there is a federal tax lien. But when we get title back and we have pulled that, we would notify you immediately because that's something that your seller doesn't always disclose to you. And but that's
the other side of that is sometimes sellers just figure, all right, well, I'll just do it when I close.
Right.
And that's really created an issue for some agents, whereas in the past, that was a fairly efficient process. It would slow things down a little bit, but it wasn't a huge monkey wrench. Whereas now that really is kind of a giant monkey wrench.
It is, and I would think that from the state standpoint, the Department of Revenue, I've heard that slowed down. We have not had any issues or any payoffs that we've had to get in the last 6 weeks with those items, but we've had 2 or 3 with federal tax liens. And we've gone to the point where we've had to hold, additional monies and try to get that resolved. And it has taken a lot longer. So you're exactly right. What used to be a simple, we'll just get it at closing and take care of it. Now that those phone calls need to be made at the listing to know, if your seller has a federal tax lien, they need to start working on those payoffs when they sign a listing agreement. In order to make sure we have what we need to get everything wrapped up. So
now, at what point, Bill, do you start pulling title? Let's say if the seller did not know they have a lien.
Sure.
At what point do you start pulling title to be a little bit proactive, just to ensure that closing? One, make sure that the seller can sell the property, and 2, the closing will go a little smoother.
Right. So the simple answer is when we get the contract sent over to us, we will open a file and start title. Sometimes we'll have a lender send us a title order and we don't have a contract. So we don't rely on a lender's title order because sometimes there's been amendments and they've changed the closing attorney for whatever reason. So, but when as an agent, you send us a contract, we're going to go ahead and open the file and start title. And if you're in a metro county, within the week, we should have that back. And then
I can't tell you what a big deal. I'm sorry to cut you off, Bill. I know that you're talking.
Sure. No.
like that's a really big deal. We have several other
Absolutely.
attorneys that they wait until the week before closing, or they wait until 7 days prior before they do this. And they may have had the contract for weeks and had an opportunity to kind of fix problems. So the fact that you do that, we adore.
Well, we also know there's a cost associated with pre-pulling the title. So, you know, for a lot of agents, they don't understand that the reason why most attorneys wait until a week prior closing is due to the cost of pulling his title just to have a contract.
And it might fall through on the attorney's end kind of thing.
Well,
so
and
I know that we appreciate it a lot. That saves so many problems.
We try to get ahead of it, if for lack of a better term. You know, a lot of folks have the school of thought as they wait till the due diligence is over. But that, in my mind, that's, you know, another email, another piece of communication, and waiting for 5 days, or, you know, so we go ahead and run that. We have some folks in-house that do a lot of our title, not all of it, but a lot of it. And so, you know, when we kind of keep it in-house from a title aspect, you know, the problems we see are front-end problems. It's the person that is the seller, or the person who was one link behind that sold it to your seller. And so we can try to target those pretty quickly and make sure that, you know, is there a deceased person on title? Do we have a probate issue? You know, was it joint tenants with right of survivorship? Is that property going to pass to the other owner, more than likely the spouse, with just us filing a death certificate, or does there have to be probate involved? You know, and so a lot of those things, to get those answers on the front end ahead of time, is going to save us a lot of work on the back end. And as an agent, you're going to know, you know, pretty quickly as well, what else needs to be done in order to get this to the closing table.
Right. Well, and then so I just want to wrap up with kind of like, what can agents do to have a smoother closing right now with everything going on? What, you know, what on our end can we do that makes your job easier and makes the whole thing, you know, how can we pick back up some of these 15 days that, you know, and again, I'm not saying it's all your fault by any means, but I'm just saying, what can we do on our end to try and keep things on pace?
Right. And I think from a, you know, I always preach it in the very beginning from a standpoint, if it's your listing, to make sure you have the you know, the people who are actually the owners of the property, that you have a copy of a vesting deed, that you know that it's mom and dad, or husband and wife, and one of them's not deceased, or they're in a divorce and we didn't get a quitclaim deed. That you have a copy of a legal description. From a listing agent standpoint, you know, those are crucial in the beginning, so that you don't waste your time and put something in, you know, go to market something that is going to take some time to clear. From a buyer's agent, you know, if you're representing the buyer, you know, and you've got a lender involved, then obviously you're going to be working with someone that you know is keeping everything on track and keeping that whole process going. You know, so it just depends, I guess, on what side of the transaction you're on. But from at least from the closing side, we will work hard to make sure that you know, we get that done as quickly as possible. And again, I'll have folks that will send us contracts today that found something over the weekend and are trying to get it done by Friday, and we'll be able to accommodate that. You know, if there's not a lender involved, and we don't have issues with homeowners associations and everything else, if it's just a typical cash sale, you know, we can handle that. But I think, you know, I think everything is getting better, and I think that time frame is going to become less and less the delays. I think everyone's learning to adapt, and getting the kind of like Zoom sales meetings, right? Everybody's getting a little better at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think things are going in the right direction.
That's great. With the state opening up, so do you foresee you guys going back to the norm, or are you going to still respect the client's wishes to close in two separate locations?
Yeah, great question. People come in and they'll say, well, do I have to have a face mask? You know, and it's what your comfort level is. We'll ask them if they would prefer us to wear a face mask. It's a little difficult to explain all that through a face mask sometimes. And we don't, as a general, we don't, as a general rule, do that. But if if they're comfortable, they want us to do that, that's fine. We kind of cater that to each individual.
Sure.
We've met people in the parking lot that didn't want to come in. And so, right. It just depends on the comfort level of the individual. And I don't view that any differently than a person that goes to the grocery store or doesn't go to the grocery store, or, everybody right. has their own comfort right. level, and they accept whatever, risk or however they want to approach that. And as long as, we're certainly, we'll do whatever. And again, if that is putting a face mask on to explain everything to you, and that makes your buyer or seller more comfortable, we'll do that. Meet them in the parking lot, we'll do that too. So, when will it get back to kind of a normal closing? I don't know. I think we'll continue buyers and sellers in separate rooms for a while, and we'll see how that works out. Most people appreciate that, and
they, absolutely.
And so, and everybody understands. I haven't had any resistance towards that, and they can always meet in the lobby or down in the parking lot and exchange whatever they need to exchange and discuss it. So it's worked well. So
sounds great, Bill. Thank you so much for coming in today and explain what's going on your end of it to help us to speed up the process and not have any delay closing.
Yeah,
so
my pleasure.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And, absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks for. We'll
talk to you soon.
Right. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, we are going to keep trucking on here. So this week we've got a couple of different CE classes coming up. So on tomorrow, Wednesday the 27th, 9:30, I'll be teaching RPR. RPR is Realtors Property Resource, and getting started with RPR. It's kind of the up top overview kind of thing. We're the basic nuts and bolts, get you started, that kind of thing. As realtors, this is a member benefit that so many agents don't take advantage of, and it is a really powerful tool when you use it effectively. So we're going to be going over that tomorrow. It is a 3-hour free CE class.
And for those of you that do not have realtor status, you can join. But the problem is that you won't have access to this tool unless you're a realtor. This is not a GAR form you can buy. This is only member benefit. But we do encourage you to look at it, just so you know that in the future, if you do want to join, become a realtor, you know what some of the benefits are. Okay, and going Thursday, we have a 2020 RE form contract dissection.
RE, that's a new one right there.
It's not the GAR contract. This is RE form contract dissection. Dana Spark is going to be teaching this particular class. And for those realtors, please take the time and learn the RE form, because there are some language differences and different stipulations in it. Whereas traditionally, if you're so used to GAR and you took an RE contract and not understand fully what it means, it can put you in a weak spot.
I mean, yeah, I know a lot of realtors will rewrite the contracts and submit them back in GAR forms, but some realtors don't. And so if you don't, you still need to know these RE contracts, and that's why it's a really great class to have. And that's going to be Thursday morning at 9:30 as well. You can find all of our classes at amx1training.com. Also on amx1training.com down at the bottom, if you'd like to sign up for our weekly newsletter, there's a place down there. You can put your email address and name and all that stuff in there, and then you'll get part of our weekly email or newsletter as well. All right. We are going through some changes in the real estate industry right now. And
is it ever?
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, the real exciting thing is that the only constant is change, right? The problem is that with COVID-19, what's happened is we've kind of gone in, we have some folks that are operating business as usual, and then we have some folks that have been paralyzed. And when you really look at the phases of change, a lot of times it starts off with, in the beginning, it's kind of confusing. And then, after that, you just start kind of getting worried. And then that worry leads into fear. Mm-hmm. And then that fear just stops you from working. It paralyzes what you're doing in your business right now. And so we want to kind of talk about that for a quick moment, because, out here, there's a lot of negative perceptions about real estate. First one is that the real estate market is declining. And we're going to show you some numbers today and share that with you. It's not the case, but that doesn't mean that that's not a perception out there. The next one is that the value of your home is going down. Again, that's the perception for a lot of people, kind of thing. Some people say, well, sales are slowing. No, we can guarantee you sales aren't slowing. They're actually, you guys are blowing our doors off right now. We're doing phenomenal. And then a lot of folks are like, we're going to go through 2008 all over again. And that's not where we're at. No. And so, but we have to understand that while that may not be our reality, for our clients, perception is reality. It's not what they hear, it's what they believe. And so right now we got a lot of realtors that not only it's not just that their clients believe these negatives, but we have a lot of agents and realtors that have let their concern turn into fear, and that's paralyzed their entire business. And so the first thing is we got to get our heads straight, but then we got to start reaching out into our markets and really sharing what's truly going on in the market. And so we're going to go through a lot of those numbers today, and I'm going to share with you things that we're seeing and what's happening. But so far I've been pretty right on how everything's going as far as market wise. So not trying to brag.
Well, this is a difference between studying actually the data and what's going out there versus listening to folks who are influencer of, whatever they want to project out in the market. We take really some time and study and analyze some of the data, and these are hardcore data. We're not making it up. So,
right. But you also have to realize that real estate is both local and national. A lot of your national real estate data is based heavily out of California and New York City. And what's happening in those markets, that sucks up a lot of oxygen. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily the reality of what's going on here in the Atlanta housing market. The Atlanta market is a different market than what's going on. Absolutely. And how that impacts, our business is very, very different. If you look at the transaction volume in Georgia right now compared to California and New York, we're blowing their doors off, kind of thing. And so if you look and you see, well, the numbers are not really that great here, I'm not seeing that kind of stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going on here in the Atlanta area. See, our clients want a realtor that can analyze all the information available, connect the dots, help them know, is this the right time to buy? Is this the right time to sell? By the way, the answer for both of those is yes. Right now, interest rates are as low as I've ever seen, and it's a huge seller's market. So this is a great time to sell. It's also a great time to buy. But the other thing our clients really want is someone that's going to take the time to explain their options and be able to express what's really happening very simply. And it's got to make sense. See, we are the people that have to give expert advice. Doesn't mean that it's perfect advice. It means that it is expert advice. And how you get to be an expert is you study, your market, you're confident about what you say. It doesn't mean that the difference here is like I go to a doctor, and a doctor is going to give me expert advice. Now, can that doctor say, let's say I have something bad? Are they going to say, you're guaranteed that nothing bad's going to happen, or this is going to be just fine? No, they're going to give me really expert advice about if I have to go into a surgery or what's going to happen. And they're going to give me really expert advice, but they can't guarantee. See, we can't take ownership for that. We can give very expert advice based on the information that we have and studying the market, knowing, but don't own that. I'm not saying that I never make mistakes, but I study, I know. And the thing is I'm going to make some mistakes, but I'm still going to give them the best advice I have. I'm going to give my folks expert advice, but don't a lot of times agents will err on the side of not doing anything because they can't be 100% perfect.
Right.
We don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you exactly how everything's going to go, but I can tell you, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I believe. That is expert advice. And we've got to be ready to give that out to our clients, kind of thing. So First of all, it means that we have to have our knowledge and expertise inspires confidence and certainty with our clients. It's so important that we do that. We've got to be able to put forward the fact that I'm confident. I feel very comfortable with it. And I can promise you, in the housing market right now, I feel so confident it's not even funny kind of thing. The other thing is that your knowledge really takes away your client's concerns. When you just know your stuff, when you've really got your act together, it comes across. And so, first thing is, do I truly know what's happening in the market? What's happening in when I say market, real estate market kind of thing. And then do I know why it's happening? And can I simply and effectively communicate those issues to our clients? That's really what it comes down to. And so if you're feeling anxious about it and you're worried about it, study. Know really what you're talking about. What I encourage you not to do is to just go out and watch any of the news and not really study and dig into it and look deeply. Right now, everything is extremely polarized. It's either wonderful or terrible. And I think that's hugely wrong. It's the world is not going to hell in a handbasket, and the world is not all puppies and rainbows kind of thing. But there is some real information in the middle there, but you kind of got to dig through it. So you got to really look at where's your heart. One of Dave Ramsey's great quotes, he says, when getting help with money, whether it's insurance, real estate, or investment, always look for someone with the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman. Right now, our clients need teachers. You need to have that heart of a teacher, an educator, an instructor, a friend, a guidance, mentor, that kind of thing. It's so important that we have the right heart. I'm never going to be one of those like, hey, what can we get you in a house today? No, that's not my goal. My goal is to really help my clients to carry them through, troubled waters kind of thing, and help guide them through. There's a great, adage about, if you're going down the straight road, it's very easy to go fast. It's how you manage those curves. It's how you carry yourself through the turns and through the challenges. A great race car driver was not made in the straightaways. Yeah. And so right now, these are our challenges. These are our curves. But that's really going to come from where our heart is and how it is. And that we're not trying to convince someone to sell. And I'm not trying to convince someone to buy if that's not where their heart is and that's not where my heart is. I do want to help them through this whole thing. And so understand that it's about where your heart is. And so as we're going forward, I want you to know the information that we're seeing, and that's where we're going to be going right now. And so the first thing is, let's talk about unemployment. Unemployment is terrible. We have some of the highest unemployment ever. Now, when I say that, it has been way worse, and you can see that we are on a very steady trend. So when you look in the news right now, what are you going to see? Record high unemployment. They're not going to say, okay, here's our trend. Our trend is actually looking better. Every single week, we have seen an improvement since its peak back on, the end of March kind of thing. So we're seeing a steady improvement every single week. And honestly, I really do think that once we get through July, at the end of July, the federal unemployment of $600 a week is going to go away. There's a lot of people that are making a lot more money now on unemployment than they made in their regular job. We've had issues with that. One other thing that happened this past week is that April sales numbers came out, and home sales month of April down 18%. Huge loss. Big, things are going bad. The world's on fire. It's not really. Yes, were they down? No Absolutely. Doubt, they were down. Do we know why they were down? Well, let's see. People were afraid to go out. And honestly, those numbers are nationwide. Atlanta was not as severely impacted as that. I know our brokerage wasn't either. Well, we were down much more in March. April wasn't nearly as bad. We were down closer to 13% as opposed to 18%. So is it a decline? Sure is. Is it showing a positive trend? Sure is. And then when we look at really where we're going now and what's happened the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially through May, I guarantee that we're going to end up with our May being better than our May was last year.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's amazing, seeing with what's going on, because you see it on the other side, some of the other issues going on is that you're going to see this one number out there that says 8% of all mortgages are now in forbearance. And that sounds scary. And it is. But, they've also found out that 70% of the people in forbearance don't really need it. They took it because they could.
Right.
They
felt like it was a reprieve and free money for the time being, so to speak. They didn't have to pay out. But at the end of the day, you just stretch out your loan that much longer.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that we want to make sure folks with forbearance are ready for is that they've actually worked with their lenders on this kind of stuff. Some forbearance is added on to the end. Some is not. You still have to we want to make sure our clients are definitely looking at that and carrying that forward as well. So, while the forbearance issue is definitely one that's hot in the news right now, understand that a lot of folks didn't necessarily need it. But, on the other hand, it's kind of nice to have as well. Like if you didn't have to make payments for a few months, who wouldn't mind that? And they're just getting added on the end of the loan. The only challenge here is that there's some other new things coming out in forbearance. We'll talk about those in just a minute as well. Now, overall, as far as the market goes, so, the nonpartisan analysis for Congress says that, thinks that there's a really good chance that there's going to be positive growth in the third quarter. And just, for reference point, third quarter starts Monday. So we're a week away. So, and here in Atlanta, we really are seeing that kind of thing. They're in the long run, they're saying, of course, the economy is going to recover and it's not going to take that long to get there. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank. They expect that, the economy is coming back. Labor market is improving in the third quarter. Hiring rebound, job losses drop significantly. So we're going to see this economy come roaring back. And honestly, I'm telling you, housing is going to be driving this ship. It really has the opportunity to do that. At the same time, home builder confidence rebounds in May, kind of thing. So our National Home Builders Association, they poll all the builders, and all of our builders are feeling really, really optimistic, largely because there's not enough inventory. Like they cannot build houses fast enough for us to sell. So this is a really great place and time for the builders to be in place, and they're all feeling really, everyone kind of got shaken a little bit with coronavirus, and now things are really heating back up. See, we see that, especially in affordable housing markets, which Atlanta is really good, the number of homes for sale continues to drop. We are really tight on inventory. The president, the Coldwell Banker CEO says they're not seeing a decline in home prices. Compass CEO says that they're seeing a huge rebound. And I can tell you as CEO of us, we are seeing just a great improvement in housing. Last month, home sales listing price went up 1.5%, but I thought that prices were going down. Nope.
Now a couple of them still have some VA issues. I have heard from some of the agents about VA requesting Thai water. And honestly, if you truly look at your listing, your client may have you list that property way higher than what you were comfortable with. And therefore, that's why the VA is pulling the VA Thai water on you.
Well, that and I think one area that we do see a little bit of concern right now is with the appraisers. Several of the appraisers are a little bit gun shy, especially if it's an appraiser that lived through 2008 when we saw the housing market crash. On the local level, everyone blamed the appraisers. It was the appraisers this, the appraisers that. They took a lot of heat, and so now they're pretty gun shy. And so when Corona first hit, everyone's knee-jerk reaction is it's going to be like values are going down. And so we saw several of the appraisers, and we had issues with some appraisals, and we're having a few issues right now. So we need to be communicating with our appraisers, talking about what we're seeing, showing these numbers. It is going to all level out, that kind of stuff, but we are having a few appraisal issues right now.
And listing agent, if you feel like the house is upgraded way beyond the neighborhood value, list all those upgrades, because honestly, when you list them, VA appraiser or any appraiser will take those things into consideration when they do their final assessment of the property.
Yeah. All right. Now, Atlanta got listed as one of the 6 best markets that has the greatest affordability. So Atlanta is, this just came out a couple of days ago kind of thing. So Atlanta is one of the best places where we have great affordability. That's one of the really cool things about where we're at right now. And being in the Atlanta housing market, this is great news for us, because on the affordability scale, especially when you look at some of these other markets, we have a lot of people moving into Georgia and Atlanta simply because we are a great place with affordability kind of thing. Our pricing right now continues to be really strong right now. Even though home sales were down 17.8%, we're still seeing that overall existing home prices in April went up 7.4%, which is massive. Now on the negative side, new listings year over year were down 28%, and total listings were down 20% versus last year. So while we have been seeing, when COVID first hit, we saw a lot of buyers get out of the market and a lot of sellers get out of the market. But now things are really ramping up. Interest rates are historically amazingly low. Buyers are jumping back in. I'm going to show you some listing numbers here in just a second. But guess what? Our sellers are lagging behind. We need more inventory. This is the reason why we're seeing such a shift in pricing right now, and why pricing values keep going up is it's a supply demand issue. At this point, we still have way more buyers than we have sellers, and we need more listings.
And those agents that has been doing some listing and working during COVID time, you can attest that most of your property has gone under contract within a week, because I see it in the back end, and it's just awesome to see that.
Yeah, we keep rolling. So on the other thing, since we were talking about buyers, mortgage applications continue, and now the industry is like, this is a surprising rebound. We're seeing this already in Atlanta for sure, kind of thing. But for the last several weeks, mortgage applications have risen between 6 and 7% a week. And so right now, mortgage purchase applications are just nationally down 1.5% less than a year ago. It's not what we're seeing here in Atlanta. We're actually over last year kind of thing. Purchase volume again was just 1.5 down, but this is another, I go through all the news every week and keep up with it. And I want to, and so I'm trying to share you the headlines and what we're really seeing going on, and really kind of like share with you where we get our decision or our feelings about what's happening in the market. It's not just stuff that I'm pulling out of my caboose. I really am trying to share really pertinent information with everybody. And so that's what this is. So we keep seeing, mortgage applications. Right now, interest rates are hovering at an all-time low. If you look at where interest rates are over the, past 50 years, 70s was 8.5%, 80s was 12.7%. 90s back down to 8s, 2000s 6% was an amazing rate in the 2000s. 2010 we thought life was great at 4%. We're at 3.25% right now. We've even seen some loans come in at 2.75, which is absolutely ridiculous when you really think about it. That
was the lowest one, and I was on a VA loan too.
Yeah. So right now we're at 3.25. They could even go lower. And so for our buyers that have great credit, and that's really, we are still seeing some challenges there. We have some lenders that have moved back down to 600. We have a couple that are at 580, but the one I can promise you, the ones at 580 are not 2.75. You want the really great rates. Your clients really have to have their credit straight. And so that's one of those things that worries me about forbearance, and we're going to talk about that. See, FHA has issued a new rule about forbearance, and it's a really great thing because but this, first of all, let me back up, because FHA does not just because it's Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac does not mean that conventional loans are following and have to do the same thing. A lot will, some won't, and it depends on the mortgage, on the loan documents you have, kind of thing. But FHA issued a new ruling, and it's just now coming back out to the lenders, saying that, you know, if you have a homeowner and they go into forbearance, if they will come out and make their payments, if they make payments 3 months in a row on time, it will not impact their credit. And so that's a real benefit. It is, because it was going to be 12 months is what they had to wait after taking advantage of forbearance. And so if you do have, but now on the negative side of that is, if you have someone that is in forbearance and they're like, you know, we'd like to sell next month and then buy another home, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, because they have to have 3 months of good standing with, or you know, showing that their payments are right before they're going to be able to borrow more money again. So they could have a great score, but they're not going to be able to get a mortgage right now if they're in forbearance. And matter of fact, they're going to have to wait 3 months. So on one hand, this is good news, but on the other hand, you know, if you have clients that are in forbearance, and we see that, you know, earlier, 70% of the folks in forbearance didn't really need it. You know, my worry is that some folks are going to shoot themselves in the foot, and then they want to sell and buy another home with these amazing low interest rates, and they're on the wrong side right now. And
well, so, they just got, listing agent just got to do your homework up front and make sure that you ask the right question, and just to avoid putting it on the market and knowing that you can't sell it for 90 days.
Yeah.
When buyers are ready to buy, they're ready to buy. They're not going to wait 90 days.
We also have to make sure that when we are going on our listing appointments, you know, now is one of those times with 8% of mortgages in forbearance, that needs to be one of those questions that you're asking on that appointment. When you go on that listing appointment, you know, have you taken advantage of forbearance? That's a question you need to ask now. That's not something that you want to find out later on that they can't get a loan then. And then now that stops the buy, that stops the sell, it stops the folks buying your home. It's just a bad thing. So make sure that we work in that forbearance is one of those things that we have to check on. And
you might want to ask a little nicer than, hey, have you taken the advantage of forbearance? Okay.
Okay, I'm a little blunt.
Okay. So when you have these appointments, your mama said, just make sure that we're on the right path. You know, did you and your spouse or you take an advantage of forbearance? Because it will determine how we're going to list this property, and then explain to them why you're doing it. Okay. Some people may be very hesitant about giving their personal information to you, but when you explain it to them, they'll understand why you're asking that question. Okay.
Being kinder and gentler than I am. So it's good. All right. Jumping in. So this is what we're seeing on real estate showings. And this is in North America. And I want you to see how showings this year versus last year trending. Before the virus hit, you could see that we were actually trending up this year over last year. And then, wow, what happened around March? Boom, it dropped out. Well, this is national data here. And guess what? We're 0.5% down, basically flat with last year as of last week.
And the orange line is this year, the blue is last year.
Yeah, but this is national. Well, Alan, what's happening in Georgia? I'm so glad you asked, because in Georgia, we're up 4% over last year.
Isn't that great?
So that really is really good news. We've seen this trend shifting back up, and you can kind of see that we've hovered pretty close to last year until COVID, and then with COVID, boom, everything dropped out. Hey guys, we're over last year. And that's really good news. You know, one of the things that we saw is that Market Site just issued a new report that said that pending sales are up almost 20% over last year. Pending sales is that's a huge indicator for what's going on, because that means, you know, these are the folks that are under contract, pending approval, that kind of stuff. So, you know, they just haven't closed yet. They're in due diligence. They're getting the titles straightened out, that kind of stuff. And we know that it's taking a little bit longer now. But pending sales are up 18% over last year. That's for the Atlanta market itself. That is such great news. It shows that we have a lot of stuff going on out there.
Well, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, there's a lot of pinned up sales. Buyers is ready to go as soon as COVID-19 is somewhat not as prevalent or as the scare factor for most people. So now you're seeing what the market should be doing all along. So there are buyers out there.
All right. Also, we are seeing that sheltering in place has caused a lot of our homeowners to take on remodels. Mm-hmm. And I want you to think about why this is an important issue, because we've been talking, we need more sellers, we need more sellers, we don't have much sellers. But when our sellers, a lot of our sellers are looking at upgrades and what they're doing, they're changing decor, adding lighting, they're changing their layout, adding storage. Of course, storage is a big deal. A lot of people are staying at home, that kind of stuff. But I want you to think about the mental process of when they fix up their homes, because when they fix up their homes, it's a great time to get their homes ready. We're seeing some of the best conditions of properties that I've seen ever, kind of thing. I know that like you drive through my neighborhood right now, like one of my neighbors, I think he's cutting his grass with like his kid's safety scissors. It looks like a carpet out there. Pristine. And so, the homes really are showing just amazing. And plus we're moving into our summer buying season, that kind of thing. It's a really great part. Because see, the other thing that's happening with shelter in place is they hate their homes and they want out now. Okay. And so, a lot of agents are seeing that quarantine has convinced a lot of our homeowners that they need more room, they need a backyard, they need more kitchen space. Well, what do they need to do, man?
Sell it.
They need to sell it. And what else will they need to do?
A realtor.
And they're going to need to buy another home, kind of thing. So this is a really great thing, like the fact that a lot of our sellers are really ready to move. A lot of them have been preparing their homes. A lot of them, hey, look, a lot of them are just sick of being in their home too, which is another great thing for us right now. See, we got to remember that summer is our new spring market. Normally, we go into that spring market getting ready for summer. But guess what? Summer's the new spring. It's where we are this year. Okay. And so I don't know exactly what that means for fall. Is fall going to be much stronger than last year? That crystal ball I don't have right now, but I can tell you that summer is going to be on fire. It is our new spring market, and we've got to be doing just an amazing job of reaching out. We especially need to be reaching out to sellers. Goodness gracious, do we need sellers right now? Mm-hmm. We got more buyers than we have sellers. Pricing is continuing to go up. This is a really good time for us to be engaging, actively participating in our marketplace, kind of thing. And so we're going to wrap with this. This is some new data from FMLS about why the spring market has turned into the summer. And, FMLS for sure is like the worst is behind us, and that's true. New listings the first half of May is up 6,500. Improvement from listings canceled, withdrawn has an improvement of almost 10%. We have a 35% increase in showings since the coronavirus kicked off. And again, that's the same data as far as the mortgage purchase index is up by 6% again this week. So, we really, we're very bullish we're very positive about where the market's going right now. Sorry, I get bull and bear confused. I apologize. Anyway, but we feel really good about what's happening in the real estate market and very comfortable about it. And I think that you can see with the data that we shared you why we feel that way. And we want you to understand what's going on in the marketplace. I worry about the, agents that have become paralyzed. If all you do is watch the news, it's very easy to become paralyzed, yes. Kind of thing. I know that when, I'm dating myself, but I remember when the first Gulf War hit. I had friends and family in the military, and so I started watching news 24/7, and I would stay up at night. I would watch bombings and missiles and all this other kind of stuff. I knew everything going on with everything going over there, and my life just I couldn't. It absolutely consumed me. Right. And so. If all you're doing is living on news and we're already a highly divisive and, unfortunately right now, for some reason, COVID is a political issue. And I'm not into which side is into what. I'm just here to share straight up data with you, and our feelings and what we feel is going on. Just don't let this paralyze you. It's really important that you move forward with what's going on. Yes, I want you to stay safe. I want you to do what's right for you and your family. I'm not saying that, but we just have some folks that have decided that the market's bad. They've decided that transactions are not going on. They've decided that they needed to pull out of the real estate marketplace right now. And if that's right for you, I'm not knocking you. I promise I'm not. But don't lie to yourself and say that that's what reality is. Now, that may be your reality, and I totally respect that. But also look at how you can engage in this marketplace today. It's time to get out there, because right now, again, summer is our spring market. We need to be actually going after it and hitting it hot and heavy right now, because that's what's going to carry us through summer and fall right now. So.
And I know Keisha has talked to a couple of mentors this past week. And some of the mentor have mentioned that the reason why they're getting calls from a client or acquaintances is because the other agent refused to show properties. Yeah. And so, you can take this and move forward, or you can let it, put you in a corner. Also,
we'll be sending out our new mentorship details this week. We were finalizing putting those together, but we'll have those going out tomorrow, Thursday. We'll be putting out our mentorship, and we're working hard to try and get it started next week, because we really want that accountability piece to be able to offer to our agents too. So thank you very much for all your time. We really love and appreciate you so very much. If we can be of any service, please call, text, smoke signals. We don't care. So we love y'all. Thank you.
Take care.